Hello everyone. Today we are going to go on what I'm calling a research adventure. I will demonstrate how to do research online with proper in-text citations and proper works cited page in MLA format. We've got to move quick, so let's get started. I've decided to write a paper about maple syrup. The problem is I don't know anything about maple syrup, and that's okay. It's common for people to want to write, or to be assigned to write, about things that they don't know anything about. In fact, that's one way to make sure you learn a lot about it. So, how does an individual transform themselves from a person who knows nothing about a topic to a person who knows a lot about a topic? The answer, of course, is research. To begin our research, as we should begin with any question, we should go to google.com. Do not start your research at bing.com or yahoo.com. Go to google.com. Hail to our Google overlord. To begin, I will type in maple syrup into the search bar. And of course we get our standard info. Pictures of maple syrup bottles, the Wikipedia page on maple syrup. Here's my mandatory spiel on Wikipedia. You should never cite Wikipedia in an academic paper. However, Wikipedia can lead you to a lot of great sources. Many times the links in the references section down here at the bottom come from reputable sources. Now let's go back to our search result. By the way, all this stuff at the top and the stuff on the right, these are all ads. I'm amazed every year by having to tell students that these are ads. It seems like you don't know this information, that these are advertisements. You're not looking to buy maple syrup. Remember, you're looking for information about maple syrup because you're writing an academic paper. So you're going to have to use smart research skills in order to find the information that you will need. Our first result, besides Wikipedia, comes from a website called authoritynutrition.com. Always look at the website here. Now this doesn't sound like it's too scientific or anything, but it looks like it might be a good place to get some basic information about maple syrup. So let's take a look. Okay, at a quick glance, this looks like an article we can use. There won't be any groundbreaking information here, but it looks like a site that is legitimately giving information about maple syrup. Now make sure you can tell the difference between the actual article and the ads. For example, yeah, this is an ad right here. We don't want that. This is the article, this is the ad. What I like to do is print out. It's very good if you can right click and just print out a copy of the article, and then you can use a highlighter to highlight sections that you want to quote. This is what I like to do in my high school classes. They're very good because you can see, you can even highlight in different colors things you might want to quote. This can help you visualize, you know, if you've got a hard copy in front of you. If I say in my paper, for example, that Canada provides most of the world's supply of maple syrup, then I can quote this article. So this strengthens my position because it's not just me saying it. You know, here it says in this article, over 80% of the world's supply is now produced in Canada. So let's first create a works cited entry for our page. First, we go to the Purdue Owl. Let's go back to our site. So look at this, we have an author right here, Chris Gunners. So we always want to put the author first. It's more and more common for articles on the internet to have authors than it was 5 to 10 years ago. Now, because now people want to take credit and view the internet as a more reputable place to publish their writing, which is a good thing. In fact, if you want to make doing research easier on yourself, try only using articles that have authors. It adds a certain level of credibility to a piece of writing, just because someone was willing to put their name on it. So let's pull up Purdue Online Writing Lab. It's the Purdue Owl, and this is the best resource, hands down, for how to correctly write, cite, and format academic papers. So what type of source do we have? We want research and citation, formatting and style guide. Okay, so what type of source do we have here? In our article over here from Authority Nutrition, this is definitely an electronic source. Okay. Here's another reason to use Purdue OWL is that MLA is always being updated. So here it says that MLA no longer requires, this is something they used to do, you had to put the URL of the website that you used in your paper, but now MLA does not require that anymore. However, some professors might require that still. So let's take a look at the list and see if we can find something that best describes our article about maple syrup here. So we've got important note, abbreviations, citing an entire website. We're not going to want to do that. This is a page on a website, and then an article in a web magazine. So I think it could probably be both. So I see page on a website and an article in a web magazine. I think it could fit into either category. But since there is an author, I'm leaning towards article in a web magazine. Authority Nutrition seems like it could be a web magazine, and we can always do this to see, right? We go to the home page, just the base URL. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that we can treat Authority Nutrition as a web magazine. Every single one of these has a different author, or some are the same. So let's create our works cited entry. Okay, so we have an author, Gunners, Chris. The title is Maple Syrup, Healthy or Unhealthy. The source is Authority Nutrition. Usually you want to put the source in italics since we're treating it like a magazine. It was published May 2014, web access 4th October 2015. Now, with the works cited, you want everything double spaced, and you want to do what's called a hanging indent, which is this right here. You can move this over here ½ an inch, and that's your hanging indent. So here's our works cited entry. Now we can steal all we want from this article as long as we cite it in text. And here's an example of how we could do that. Okay, works cited should be the last page of our paper. So if I wanted to say something like Canada is the world's top producer of maple syrup. In fact, and this is where I can get my quote right here, over 80% of the world's supply is now produced in Canada. Now, I can even copy paste here. You want to make sure, though, that when you copy paste, you take the time to make it look the same, or you can use this button right here, keep text only, right? Because the formatting, sometimes I get papers turned into me where the font is just all off, and sometimes it'll be like even in a different color. Don't do that, because that just looks sloppy and lazy. Make sure it fits, or you could just retype it. Okay, but here I happen to know that I'm writing this paper in Calibri 11, so I have my quote here. Then I put Gunners, right, and put the period at the end. Okay, so now whoever is reading your paper will see the fact that you quoted. They can easily flip to your works cited page down here, which should be the last page, and see where you got the paper, got the quote for your paper. All right, so let's go back to our Google results here. The fourth result here is from Coombs Family Farms. Okay, they're not trying to inform you about maple syrup, they're trying to sell you maple syrup. So right away I know that that would be a bad source for me to use in my academic paper. Look at this. Here's an FAQ from Cornell University. I know that because it's an edu, right? It's a .edu domain name. Now let's look at it. Wow, this tells me that is Cornell University, which is in Ithaca, New York, and an Ivy League school like Harvard, Princeton, Yale. Cornell University does a lot of research on maple trees and maple syrup. So we could probably use this website as a great source of information for our paper. Let's look at syrup production right here on the side. Here's a question we may not have considered. When do farmers decide that it's more valuable to use the tree for its syrup than to cut it down for lumber? This is really interesting. Okay, so apparently this is part of the Cornell Maple program. All right, let's click here for a description of how the biologic and economic variables for a particular situation affect whether it is more profitable to manage a maple tree for saw timber or lumber production or lease it for maple syrup. So right away this tells me that people lease their trees for syrup production. Might be something I want to learn later. So here's another article with an author, okay, Michael Farrell, and a date of publication that I can use for my research. Now what would this citation look like? Let's go down here to our works cited. So we want to start with the author, Farrell, Michael, cost benefit managing for saw timber production. Okay, this comes from the Cornell Maple program. All right, it was published 21st of January 2010. It is on the web, and it was accessed on the 4th of October 2015. October is spelled with a B, not a V. This is a good looking citation. This is the works cited page. It's looking really good. Notice we want double spaced hanging indent. Now we can quote from this article, right? Let's look under growth rates. I like this quote right here. Generally speaking, the slower tree grows, the more likely that it is leasing taps will be more profitable than managing for commercial saw timber production. Well, that makes sense, right? If a tree gets really big really fast, then it probably makes more sense to cut it down for lumber. So how do we cite it? Let's use the author's name this time. We're going to start a new paragraph. A great phrase to use is according to Farrell, right? Generally speaking, the slower the tree grows, the more likely that its leasing taps will be more profitable than managing for commercial saw timber production. When you use the author name in the actual text of the essay, you don't need to cite it after. However, you might want to use a page number. Since this is a PDF file, there are distinct pages, and this comes from page 1. So what we can do is just put 1 here, and that's only because we used the author's name here. If we didn't, then we would just go ahead and put Farrell 1 at the end. But since we did, then we just put the page number at the end. And if you don't have a page number, don't freak out, don't worry about it. A lot of stuff online doesn't have a page number, so just don't freak out about it. Okay. And so there we have it. We have 2 good quotes and 2 works cited entries. If you have any questions about what makes a good source, then I will hopefully be doing another video specifically on that. Now, do you see how much we've learned about maple syrup in our 10-minute research adventure? Part of the reason teachers and professors make you do research papers is that you learn a lot about a subject. Embrace that. As long as you are cooperating with the spirit of the assignment and learning as much as you can about a subject and presenting authoritative material, that's your research, along with your own ideas, then no professor is going to fail you. Research papers are a lot of work, but if you do the work, there are also a lot of rewards. So whatever you do, don't cut corners. Take the time to learn as much as you can about your subject, no matter how boring you might think it is, and contribute meaningful ideas. That's the heart of research. And if you do that, then I promise you, you will get a good grade. Thanks for watching.